Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2, the second show of the Poseidon Show. If you guys watched the first episode, then you kind of know the format of how things are going to go. I'm just going to kind of get into it. First and foremost, we have the finals going on, or apologies, this is the 29th, May 29th that this is being recorded on, so if you're watching in the future, maybe you know the outcome of this Spurs Thunder game, which is happening tomorrow. I don't yet. I think the Spurs are going to win. J-Dub is hurt, so I'm thinking that I think Wemby's either going to have the game of a lifetime or he's not. And if he doesn't, the Spurs are going to lose and the Thunder are going to go and probably maybe beat the Knicks. I don't 100% know. Honestly, I think the Knicks are very underrated, so I think it's very possible that they win that. But at least for right now, I'm kind of on the fence. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started with some league news. So I already kind of talked about the Spurs and Thunder game. It's been crazy. This has been crazy. I saw this one video that Wemby had like whispered to like Bismack Biyombo and Mason Plumlee, and then the very next play, like they were like pushing Jared McCain and like being all crazy. I'm not gonna lie, that was crazy business. I'm a big Wemby fan. That was a little bad to watch. I'm not 100% sure what happened there. I don't know if that was just some friendly conversation or whatever, but I don't know. It kind of looked bad. But this hate that Wemby has for the Thunder, I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It is so good for the league to have this kind of rivalry. First off, Wemby hates Chet. It is so amazing to watch on the court. It's amazing. It's amazing that it exists. I'm a big fan of it. I think that it should happen more. But yeah, I love it. I love this Spurs Thunder series. I think it's been so interesting to kind of see the officiating and just kind of see, well, what happens. Because on one side you have the Thunder that everybody's calling like massive foul baiters, and then on the other you've got this like unstoppable young core. But I mean, these teams have seemed very evenly matched. Now I will say, the games that the Thunder win are not anywhere close to the margin of victory that the Spurs have over them in their wins. Every single time the Spurs have won, it has been a blowout. Every time the Thunder has won, it's been by no more than like 10 points. So you have to ask, are the games that the Thunder win just off nights for the Spurs? I don't know. I think it is ridiculous to say that the Spurs have no shot in a Game 7. I think it's maybe ridiculous as well to say that the Thunder has no chance to win. It is a coin flip to me. I do think that the Spurs might have an edge, although you are playing on home turf, and I've heard that the Thunder Arena is crazy impactful to the game. So, who knows? As far as other league news goes, I saw a couple head coaches get hired and moved around. Jamal Mosley got hired by the Pelicans. So if that doesn't make their situation just a little bit worse, I don't know what would. And then I think that's the end of league news for the NBA. Besides the anti-tanking rules that officially went into effect for the future, we already talked about those. We don't need to go through it again. What we do need to talk about is the NBA salary cap league, All-Star salary cap league, because some crazy things happened. For starters, the league got nuked. I mean, absolutely nuked. We did an entire redraft because of a power curve that existed where a lot of the really bad teams had traded away some of their really good assets for not a great return, and it made some teams just really, really good, and there was just no way for most teams to compete. That being said, we did a redraft. So everybody got to keep 3 assets, and then all the other assets got thrown into a pile, and everybody got to pick out of them. And right now we're still kind of going through that draft right now. But for the most part, it's wrapped up. So I am going to be talking a lot today about these picks. I'm going to be talking a lot about drafting and why some teams are doing really, really well with it and why some teams are doing absolutely abysmal with it. So I'm going to go through all of that. I'm going to discuss it. I'm going to be very honest and open about my opinions on each pick. I'm going to give it a rank from A to F, and then we're just going to kind of go through it just like that. So as far as league news goes, I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, I did forget about something. We are also readjusting salaries, and all of this was done in an effort to continue to build fairness. I also did an interview with Josh, the owner of the league, so I actually have some of his personal comments about the state of the league, the future of the league, and what some different things might be included as well. As far as salaries go, there's a whole new formula for how salaries are done. The length of the contract is still the same as it was. Free agents are still going to exist, but now there's just a different formula for how the current contracts are constructed and moving forward how contracts are structured for the future, as well as a different salary cap and a salary floor. And then I also believe that there was maybe a slight adjustment to the amount of cap that you can hold. And I also think dead cap might have been completely eliminated. I think dead cap is gone now too. So trading is going to become a lot more difficult, more constructive, and frankly more fair. I think that a lot of these adjustments were made in haste. I don't think that they were bad or even terribly consequential, but I do think that there was a lot of stuff that was added specifically to stop bad teams from becoming worse rather than teaching bad teams how to get better. Because there are still bad GMs in the league. We're still going to get Slayer type trades. The difference is those trades are going to be passed less and less. And my hope is that those people that are sending those trades are going to get kicked out. Because we don't need that in the league. We need good, quality, solid people that are going to make good, quality, solid trades. And that's going to be what's ultimately best for not just the health of the league, but also the longevity. But yeah, so that's all of the league news. And now, honestly, I'm going to spend the next however long just going through these trades. You can kind of skip around if you want to. This is going to go in order. So if you want to listen to a specific round, just skip ahead to that round. Or if you want to just listen to your picks, again, it's going to be in order from the snake of the draft. So whatever you want to do is absolutely fine. I will be ranking every single draft. Also, is going to be team specific. So if the three assets that you kept, picks or players, I will be ranking those as well. In accordance with those picks. Like if you kept 3 centers and you only drafted centers, you're probably going to get Fs, even if those centers are like Alperen Sengun or whoever, because that would be a mishandling of the draft. It's different if that's the best player available or vice versa, but again, we'll get into all of that when I rank and also describe why each draft pick is either good or bad. Side note, and this is very important before we get into the draft, some of you are terrible at drafting. Absolutely abysmal. One of the biggest reasons is you didn't scout anybody. A lot of people got set on auto draft, so I'll be gracious with some people. Some people intentionally picked terrible players, and it's going to really come back to bite you. Because there are some people like Josh and Odin, I hate to include myself in that, but I'm also included in that, who made very, very solid drafts. This was a deep draft. Free agents were in this draft. There were all kinds of really great players that were drafted. Some of these players went in a ridiculously long round. I mean, there was, I think, somebody in the top 100 fantasy assets that went in like round 5 or 6. That's ridiculous. that's just a mismanagement of the draft. Now, I'll get into all of that as we go, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, like I said, feel free to jump around. We're going to do this, and then after that, we're going to go and talk about the interview I did with Josh. So, also, forgive me, I am not able to pull it up on the screen. The draft is unfortunately not listed on the Sleeper website. It's only listed on the Sleeper app. So I will be using that and kind of talking back and forth. So please forgive me, but this is just the best way that we're able to do it today. Oh, okay, I see. Huh. Interesting. I will need one quick second. Huh. Isn't that funny? Ah, here it is. Sorry, guys. I was struggling out to navigate to the page that I needed to. I'm now there. So, we are going to very quickly go through all of the... Can I do that? I cannot do that. Never mind. I was going to go through everybody's picks on assets that they kept. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I'm more just analyzing the draft itself. But I will also talk about the best player that was available at that time of the pick. So we'll address that as we go through. Anyway, so the list of people, the order of the draft, I'm not going to talk about because you'll very easily see that as I go through it. But just know that the draft order was determined by how skilled of a GM you were decided to be. Some GMs, not great. Like Gervier started the draft. Probably deservedly so. Very deservedly so, actually. That's the truth of the matter. And Josh and Odin ended the draft. They were picks 29 and 30. Which also, by the way, I'm actually a really big fan of picks 29 and 30, and I would have preferred those picks over my own. I think that it actually is a very, very good decision to be in that range. I actually think that's not a bad thing. Hot take, that's not a bad thing to be at the end of a snake draft. Now, if this was a linear draft, yes, 29 and 30 would suck. If it is a snake draft, you want to be at either the top 3 to 5 or 29-30. That's my hot take. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the draft. And I'm going to stop talking about things that aren't the draft. So the very first pick is Alperen Sengun. That is a 10 out of 10. That was the best guy available. Exactly what you needed. You needed some talent. You needed a good player on your team. Excellent pick. There was no other pick. If you had picked anyone else, I would have clowned you forever. Devin Booker was drafted by Potatoes. Not a bad pick. I think that there would be other picks that I would have preferred, like maybe a Donovan Clingan. Keontae George was still on the board at this point. I just think that there were probably... I mean, even Austin Reeves was still very on the board during this time, so I kind of think that was a mistake. It's not a bad pick. It's a really solid pick. Devin Booker's still going to be a good player, so probably a B minus. It's not a bad pick. It's just there were better picks. This pick, I don't know if this was an auto or not. This is an F pick. The third pick in this draft was Trae Young by Vandery. Now, there's a reason. There's a reason Vandery drafted third. Guys, we have to be better at drafting. You cannot tell me that Trae Young would be a better pick than Donovan Clingan, who went 4 to Sapai. Also, Ali traded his pick to Sapai, so he traded out of the first round. Or he moved his pick around. I'm not 100% sure. I'll get to it here in a second. But he traded his pick to Sapai. And pick number 4, sorry, Trae Young was an F, in case nobody understood that. Pick number 4, Donovan Clingan, I love that pick. I really do. Now, do I think it was the best pick here? Probably not. Probably not. It was. I think it was probably the second best player available. Probably. Definitely wasn't a bad pick. So I'm probably just gonna go ahead and give it probably A minus. Probably the one of the top 2 picks. So really good pick. So good job for Sapai. Freddie with the 5th pick. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is what I mean by you are a bad drafter. This is an abysmal pick. R.J. Barrett was picked before Keontae George. G League. This is abysmal behavior, and this should never happen again. This was a redraft to improve fairness, and you're picking R.J. Barrett over Keontae George. Yep, we're doing that. So that is an F. R.J. Barrett isn't even a bad player. He's actually one of the better players in this draft. It's only the fact that he went over some of the top names, just asset-wise, one of the top names asset-wise. Would you really rather have R.J. Barrett than Keontae George? Heck no. Anyway, that's an F. Moving on to pick number 6, we are going to Henry, who did, in fact, pick the correct player and drafted Keontae George. This is a solid A+++. Very good pick, very solid. I don't have much to say. This was exactly the right pick. Now, Mariota Magic picked Brandon Ingram. I kind of don't like that, although he does typically hover around the 50 to 60 range for fantasy assets. So, I mean, it was a fine pick. He's a little bit older. I do have a soft spot for BI. I think he is a much better player than he's given credit for, and for the most part, besides a little bit of injury history, he's not a bad player. So I will give that a solid, probably a B. He's also one of the better players on the board, so it was good. AF Sonic is going next. Tyler Hero was picked here. Fine, I guess. Like, it's a fine pick. I'm not sure I like Hero, and I think if it were me, I probably would have maybe gone with a little bit of depth instead of this. I think maybe that he wasn't the right pick. But if you can get a good rebuilding package for him or just use him to contend, either one, I think that was probably a pretty decent pick. So we're going to go with B+. Now this I hate. So Sapai traded up to get Ali's pick. Ali got 1.09 and drafted. Let me just make sure that this is actually true. Oh my gosh. Drafted Kobe Buffkin. Now, there are 2 things that could have happened here. And just quickly looking to double check. I don't think he did this. Oh, never mind. I messed up. I will tell you guys exactly why I messed up. I forgot that picks were also included in this. And that's right. Okay, so this was actually the correct pick. Kobe Buffkin was not his pick. His pick was actually the 1.04 in this year's draft. So already completely forgot about that. Please forgive me. So the 9th pick was the number 4 pick in this draft. That was an insanely good pick. Over Tyler Hero, over BI, 1.04 should have gone there. That is either Caleb Wilson or Cam Boozer, maybe Darren Peterson if he falls. Like, that was a fantastic pick. Yeah. I can't believe that he fell that low, but these things happen. Yeah, that was a A+ pick. So now we're going to go to 1.10, and we have a little bit of an interesting pick at this spot, and it was Zach Edey by Funk. Not my favorite. He's a little bit injury prone, and he definitely went over some guys that he should not have. So not my favorite pick, and I definitely think value-wise that was just not the right one. Really prioritizing value and just the best available is really what you should be looking for a draft like this. But these picks get much worse very quickly. So Jimmer with 1.11 picked DeLon Wright, which obviously is not actually who he took. He actually took pick 5 in the draft. So really solid pick on his side. I really like that pick for him. That's an A+. Now, we have to get into the absolute steal of the draft so far. Austin Reeves fell to 1.12. He was the 12th pick, and he went to Dan. Fantastic. I mean, really fantastic stuff. I honestly think that he probably should have gone in the top 10. He didn't, and that's fine. But this is an A+ pick. This is absolutely the steal. And then immediately after that, we have 1.13, where Randy decided that he was going to kill every brain cell in his head and pick for potential. But what that actually means is he's going to draft Tamani Kamara with 1.13 because he was feeling frisky, I guess. So Tamani Kamara went 1.13. Why that's crazy is because you are about to hear about some of the top talent that is in this draft, and I kind of forgot how many good players were available that weren't taken. Yeah, that's actually crazy now that I'm actually looking at the draft, but we'll get to that. This is an F. And the reason it's an F is because the talent level that is in this draft, or was in this draft, for the first round is just insane. I mean, that just should not have happened. Sorry, guys. I got a little bit of a cold right now. So, terrible pick. That's enough. And then we're going to go to Coop, and he picked James Harden. I see the vision. I do. And to be honest with you, for Coop specifically, it was probably the right pick. So I am giving this an A+. I don't personally like this pick. I think especially right now in a dynasty league, you're kind of just playing with a stick of dynamite. Like, it's going to be lit at some point here soon, and when it is, it's gone. So I'm not sure I would have done that myself, but I definitely see the vision, and he wants to contend, and who am I to say no to that? So it's going to be an A. I can't give it an A+ just because it's, for a dynasty league, it wasn't the move, but it's a fine move. So we'll give it an A+. Sorry, an A, not an A+. So with 1.15, I think, we get Jabari Smith being drafted by Cade. I love this. Great pick. I think Jabari is heavily underrated as far as value, and I think that he has a very good potential for a breakout season if he could just get a little bit of offense going. I love this pick. I think this was such a good pick. So we're going to give this an A+. Next, by Dan Warner, we have Ryan Rollins. I thought that was a really interesting pick. I like it. I do like it. I think that was a very solid pick. So next, You Hate Mikey traded up in the draft. Now, I had a whole video that I released where I said he is the best GM in the Magic division. I am now rescinding that by about 1,000,000%. And the reason why is he traded up in the draft to get Anthony Davis. Anthony Day-to-Day Davis. And that's not even the worst guy he drafted. I mean, talk about the unction and the glass cannon convention. I mean, his team is a cotton patch or a patchwork of just players that are going to only play half the season. I don't really like this trade. I don't like that he traded up to get Anthony Davis. I don't like that he drafted Anthony Davis. I don't know. Not my favorite. And next we actually have me. I drafted Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And to be honest with you, looking back, there was definitely, I think, a better pick. And if I had to do it over again, I probably would have drafted either Ivica Zubac or, and this is maybe just a little bit of a hot take, I might have drafted Jeremiah Fears because I think he fits my timeline a little bit better. I'm not unhappy with NAW. I think he's going to be a good player. I actually think that he might even have even more success next year. So I'm not even unhappy with him, and I could probably trade him for a pretty decent package, actually. But the truth of the matter is I think there were better picks on the board. So I'm going to give myself probably a B- or a C. It was an okay pick. It definitely wasn't bad by any means, but I think there were better picks available. Next, we are going to go, and ironically enough, the very next pick by What is Jim, he picks up Jeremiah Fears. I actually love this guy, Jeremiah Fears. I think he's going to be such a fantastic player. So I'm actually going to give this an A+. I actually think that this is one of the better steals of the draft. Because honestly, I think Fears, also value-wise, is just crazy value-wise. I think that he is a very good player, very underrated, and I probably would have held him as an asset. I don't know if I would have held him over Trey Murphy, but I would have thought about it. So really good pick, A+. Next we have Zero, who drafted Jaden McDaniels. I dislike this pick. I think that there were much better players available. Keep in mind, only 1.05 up to 1.05 has been picked so far. Available picks were 1.06, 1.08, and then 1.12 and onwards. So there were still really solid picks available, and I kind of think that he should have taken 1.06 here. I don't like the Jaden McDaniels trade, or the draft. I think that there were better picks available, so I'm going to give this one a C. I think there were better guys available. Now, T, nail on the head, drafted Cedric Coward. I like this trade. I'm a big Cedric Coward fan. I think that he's going to be a really solid player. Do I think he's going to get up to 20 points per game? Probably not. But I do think he'll be a solid role player and a much better rookie than most people are going to give him credit for. So we're going to give this a B. It was a good pick. Ja Morant. Coop traded to get O'Jesse's pick and got Ja Morant. It's risky because he could have a breakout year again and kind of just return to his old self and not get injured. That's possible. I would love to see that. I'm a Ja believer. I actually really like his game. Is it likely? Probably not. But swinging for the fences is not going to kill you. I'm going to give this probably a C. It's just iffy. It could go either way. If Ja's really, really bad next year, it's an F. If he's really, really good, it's an A. I don't know. Maybe we'll look back next year and this will be an absolute steal. I don't know. I really don't. Next, Josh actually traded up to get Coop's pick, and he took 1.06. So I love this. I love this trade. I love this pick. He's clearly showing why he's one of the better GMs in the league. I actually think he probably shouldn't be able to trade around in a draft specifically designed to reset the order of the league. I think that was probably a mistake to allow, but these things happen. A+ pick, really solid. Next, Mikey drafts Stephen Curry, and this is an F. And the reason it is an F is because everyone on your team is about to retire. Everyone. We're talking about Anthony Davis and Steph Curry. And then later down the line, I believe he also... well, I'll get to that later. Next, we have TVD, who... actually, oh, that's right. He took 1.08 here. I think he probably should have taken Zubac. I think that pick and roll with Tyrese Halliburton next year is going to be filthy. So I'm not a big fan of this. And it's really only because Zubac was there. I'll probably give this a B. The pick 1.08 isn't bad. I think that there was better stuff available, so we're going to give it a B. Now, Sal, nail on the head. He took Zubac. That is going to be a solid A+. I think that was a great pick. Atlanta Hawks took Kevin Durant. And, oof. It's just... for his team, that was probably the right move. He's got a really stacked roster. I actually think he's going to be a really strong contender this year. But it's just, you really want to take like a 37-year-old Kevin Durant on? I wouldn't personally, but you know, it's not my team. It's a good pick. We're going to give it a B. Jarrett Allen went to Odin. Odin traded up to get Jarrett Allen and then immediately drafted DeJounte Murray. Again, clearly showing why he's one of the better GMs in the league. Getting the backup center play that he needs for when Jokic misses time. And then DeJounte Murray is so underrated as a point guard. And I definitely think he could go back to his San Antonio days. He's been pretty healthy and played very well this year, so we'll see. And then Josh retained his pick and picked Mikal Bridges. And I'm going to be honest, I dislike this pick. I think that there were much better players on the board, and I think he sold. So, yeah, that's 1.30. So, now, that is all of the first round. Keep in mind, there were quite a few players that I did not talk about there that you're like, huh, that's weird. In the first round, I didn't hear... let me find a name real quick. Like, huh, Kevin Porter must not have been in this draft. Or maybe Kyrie Irving surely couldn't have been in this draft. Or talk about rookies, like, I bet Will Riley wasn't there. Or Andrew Nembhard must not have been in this draft. Like, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, there's all of these really great guys that didn't go in the first round, so they just must not be in this draft. You would be incorrect. What I am about to show you in this second round disgusts me. Because some of the most diabolical trades happened. Some of the most diabolical drafts happened. And I'm going to talk about them. But I don't like them. I don't even like them a little bit. And I just got to be honest. I would have vetoed some of these. Like, if I had the opportunity, I would have said, nope, you can't kill your team. Oh, you want to draft this guy that's probably going to be out of the league in a year? Sorry, you can't do that. If I had it my way, I would have said, oh, you want to draft Gordon Hayward, who doesn't even play anymore? No. Or if you want to, you can go to the G League and do that, because we don't actually do that. We play serious fantasy in this league. That's what I would have done because of how abysmal some of these trades were and some of these drafts. So we're going to kind of go a little bit quicker. The first round was kind of a little bit more in depth. The second round is going to be a lot more. This was the pick. This is how bad it was. And then the grade. So with 2.01, Derek White was taken by Funk. This was a fantastic pick. I actually think he's going to regress a little bit, but I think he's still going to be a good player, so we're going to give it an A+. Desmond Bain was drafted 2 by Sal. This was a really good pick. I really like Desmond Bain. I love his game. I think that he can only get better or at least maintain, so A+. Funk traded up again and got 1.03 and got Keshawn George. I don't like that he traded up as much as he did. I think that really, really sold him when depth comes into it later, but I mean, his picks were good. Keshawn George is a breakout waiting to happen, so probably a B+. Isaiah Hartenstein was taken by Atlanta Hawks. Solid pick. I'll give it a B. I think there was maybe some better stuff on the board, but really good. Now, Coop next picked Kevin Porter Jr. I'm going to go in more in depth on this one because will he be good next year? This is the conundrum. He's 26. He was a borderline all-star, averaging 17, 5, and 7, 2.2 steals a game. And he was a top 30 fantasy asset last year. Now, if he can stay out of trouble with the law, play a longer season. By the way, the Bucks were absolutely tanking this year, so I don't even take all of the health stuff without a little grain of salt. This could be the absolute best steal of the draft. This is my prediction that this will be looked back at, and we all say, how did this guy not go in the first round? I am shocked by this. I would have probably taken him with pick 2 if it had come to me, but just, wow. I like this pick. I'm going to give it an A+, because I think he's going to be good, and I think this was the steal of the draft. Next, we're going to go to TVD, who, with his own pick, drafted Derek Lively. Breakout year waiting to happen again. I like this pick. We're going to give it an A. I do not like this pick. CB Steam traded up. This is what gets me. Traded up to draft Yegor Demon. Oh, that's gross. This move alone set your team back another 2 years. This was an atrocious trade and pick. This is an F. This is so bad. This never should have happened. Melbourne trades up and gets OG Anunoby. I like that. Probably a solid B. Jesse keeps his pick and drafts Naz Reid. It's a fine pick. Probably a 6-man for you, but good pick. T, I love this pick. I really love this pick. It drafts AJ Mitchell. I was kind of surprised he fell as low as he did. Honestly, I really think that I think he was a steal. Really, I think he was a steal. A+. Really, really good pick. This was not a good pick. Kyle Filipowski was picked by a 0. I guess he just doesn't want to win games. I'm assuming that has to be it. He just does not want to win games. I mean, his best player, this isn't nothing, but his best player is VJ Edgecombe. Cool. F. This was a bad pick. What is Jim picked up next with Bub Carrington? I despise that Bub picked Bub. I think that was a bad pick. We're going to go an F. I don't like that. Next, I picked up Jalen Suggs. I think that was a fine pick. Probably the best guy available. There probably could have been another rookie or another guy that I could have picked up, but it was a good pick. Mark Williams was then picked up by CB Steam with his own pick. This was okay. I like Mark Williams. I think that he's a better player than people give him credit for. There were definitely better players available, so we're going to give it a B. Probably a B minus. Next, Dan picked up with 2.17 Benedict Mathurin. Fine. Good pick. We'll give it a B. Caden picked up Jaime Jaquez. I actually really like this pick. I think that was a much better pick than what most people give credit for, but missed out on a really, really good guy. So I am going to have to give this a D because the very next guy drafted was Andrew Nemhard. And nobody else took him. That's gross. Really, everybody else's grade needed to be moved down one, because the fact that you didn't take Andrew Nemhard is gross. Should not have happened. Nick Claxton was taken by Randy. It was a good pick. I give it an A. Iota Sumo was picked by Dan. Fine. Maybe a C. There were better picks available, but I like that just fine. This is the maybe the worst pick of the draft. And when I tell you who it is, you're not going to believe me. Jimmer with 2.22. Still some very good names on the board, which we will get to here shortly. Oh man, I don't even know if I can say it. This man drafted Jonathan Kuminga with the 2.22. Sell the team. Sell the team. It's time to move on with this experiment. The owners suck. It's time to sell the team. You cannot tell me that you drafted Jonathan Kuminga over Tari Eason, Bilal Koulibaly, Jared McCain, just to name a few. Absolutely atrocious pick. F minus. Should not have happened. Jesse trades up and drafts Trey Jones. Aliman drafts Tari Eason. I like both of those. Both of those are an A. Good players. I probably would have drafted Tari over Trey, but so be it. Pods goes to AF Sonic. I actually am a big Pods believer. But I will try to be objective, and Pods definitely is not as good as some of the guys on this list, so probably a B minus. Bilal Koulibaly goes to Mariota Magic. Fine. A B. LeBron goes to Mikey, and that is an F, and it's only because you have every other 40-year-old in the league on your team, so you're going to win a chip. Or if you don't, you're going to go out in a blaze of glory. It's going to be an F. Everybody's going to be injured. It's going to be a train wreck all year. The only consolation you will get is if you win a chip, which might not happen because of the injuries. So, prayers. Freddie drafts Jared McCain. I love this. His breakout year with the Thunder has been amazing to watch. Yeah, this is an A. I love Jared McCain. Aliman trades up. Sorry, this is Ali's pick. And he gets Isaiah Collier. Fine. I don't think he's going to be very good playing behind Keontae George, but who knows? We'll see. Dylan Brooks goes to Vandery. Okay. C. It's fine. There were better players available. A lot of them. Probably a D, actually. I'm not a big Dylan Brooks fan. Quentin Grimes goes to Potatoes. I think that was a miss. I think that was for sure a miss, especially after drafting Devin Booker. I think getting like a center or a wing probably would have been better. I don't want to give it too low because, I mean, that's still a good pick. It's probably a C minus, though. It's teetering on the edge of being a really bad pick, so we'll give it a C minus. Now, Gervier drafts twice and drafts two wings. He drafts Peyton Watson and Jaylon Tyson, both of which probably should not have gone here. Probably not. I I think that was a mistake. Probably a C for both. Noah Esenge goes at 3.02. By the way, we started the third round. I like Noah Esenge. I think he's a good player. He was a lottery pick last year, so like we don't need to sleep on him just yet, just because he had a really bad rookie campaign. It's fine. It's a little bit risky, but I'm gonna give it a C plus. There's upside there for sure. Moussa Diabate goes third there. I love that pick. Such a good pick. Sapai trades up and gets pick number 12 and 1.0 with 3.04. Good pick. Josh Hart goes at 3.5. That was a little bit of a steal. That's an A plus at this rate. Kaspar Siakis goes to Henry with 3.6. That's a pretty good pick. I'll give it a B minus. DeAndre Ayton goes 3.7. I probably wouldn't have drafted him here, but he has been pretty good this year, so B minus. It's a good pick. PJ Washington goes 3.8. He's had kind of a slow year, but he's pretty consistently a very good player, so probably a B. Jakob Podol goes to Sapai at 3.9. F. I do not like his game. I think that he is going to only continue to get older and slower and will be out of the league before you even get off of his contract, so this is an F. This wasn't a good trade then, or this wasn't a good draft at all. Melbourne goes ahead and gets pick 13. Fine trade, or fine pick. I like that. That's an A. Jordan Poole goes 3.11 to Jimmer. And in case you didn't get the ongoing theme, Jimmer is by far the worst drafter in the league. I mean, abysmal. There wasn't a single pick that I looked at and I was like, oh, yeah, you finally hit on one. Nope, they're all bad. Dan goes and gets Ryan Kalkbrenner and 3.12. Really good. I am surprised he kind of went this late, but with as many minutes as he got over Moussa, I'm not surprised that he didn't go as high. I still like him. I think I could still be high on him. I think he just needs to go somewhere else to get more playing time, so probably a B. Noah Clowney went to Randy. I didn't like that pick. I think there was a much better pick on the board that went right after, so I'm going to give it a C minus. And that is Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey has been so good. I really like his game. I think he's very underrated as a player. He went to Coop at 3.14. I think Coop has a really nice team with all of this, so A+. Case Wallace goes 3.15 to Caden. I like this a lot. I like it a lot. Probably better players on the board, so I'm going to give it a B+. Common Moyok went to Dan at 3.16. I'm not mad at that. B+. Walter Clayton went to CB Steam at 3.17. Terrible pick. I picked up Will Riley at 3.18. Probably could have picked somebody better, but I was drafting for fit. Jarris Walker went 3.19. No. That is a D. Bryce Sensabaugh went 3.20. I like that pick. I think he's underrated. Although that Jazz squad is loaded with wings already, and I'm not sure that they really need that. So as far as fit goes, it's probably more like a C minus, maybe a D. But it's a good pick. Najee Marshall went 3.21. That was a miss. It was probably a miss. I'm going to give it a C. He's not a bad player. I think that there were better players on the board. Colin Gillespie, Funk trades up and gets him. I like this pick a lot. I think this was a good trade up. We're going to give that an A. I really like him. Now this is the part where we're going to start seeing a lot of older guys get drafted. We got to weigh that against their potential and where they're going to go, or who's going to get hurt, who's not. Gets a little bit dicey here soon. So Rudy Gobert goes 23rd to Coop. If he can be a good player for another 2 years, this was solid in the 3rd round. But I don't trust him to, so we're going to give it a B. Kyrie goes to Mikey. Man, this is the unction. I mean, it really is really, really bad age-wise. We're going to go ahead and give this a C- because it was a good pick. Just with his team construction, it's just terrible. Herb Jones goes 25th. No, that shouldn't have happened either. Melbourne, Herb Jones was D for sure. Pick 14 goes to Melbourne next. Drew Holiday gets taken by Atlanta. Fine pick. I think he's still going to be good for a few years, so that was a good pick. Andrew Wiggins goes to Melbourne. I like that. I was kind of surprised he went as late as he did. That was the best player available, so yeah, we'll give it an A. Joan Behringer, the rookie out of Minnesota, I like that pick a lot, especially for Odin, who needs some backup center minutes, so probably an A. Yeah, that was a good pick. Ty Jerome falls all the way to 3.30 and was drafted by Josh. I really like that. That was a really solid B+. I think Ty Jerome, if he can stay healthy, will be phenomenal there. So we'll see. Aaron Gordon goes at the 1st round. And now we're going to go just a little bit different, and I'm actually just going to list the players' picks that they got, because I'm getting just a little bit tired of just reading it round by round, and I'm not sure that's as beneficial because I'm also not able to talk about the team construction. So we're going to go through each team real quick, all at once. So who they drafted and what round they drafted in. So with the 4th round, Josh drafted Aaron Gordon. With the 5th round, he ended up trading his pick. With the 6th round, he took Day'Ron Sharpe. 7th, Sam Merrill, Dennis Schroeder in the 8th, Chris Dunn in the 9th, and Dominic Barlow in the 10th. These were all decent picks. Maybe not the best. There were some better players available, but as far as fit goes, a lot of guard play and some 4 and 5s. I think it's a well-rounded team, so pretty good. For Odin, he drafted Julian Champagny, Kelly Oubre, Julian Reese. I am big on Julian Reese. I think his minutes in Washington were very, very interesting, to say the least. Taking a swing on him in the 6th round was I think the best move. So I'll give all of those picks a B+. Jordan Miller, KCP, and Spencer Jones. I don't think you should have drafted KCP. I don't think he's a good player anymore. So I think that was a miss. But the whole draft, probably a B for Odin. Melbourne drafted Fred VanVleet, D'Anthony Melton, Jalen Smith, Johnny Furphy, Tim Hardaway, and Luke Kornet. Not bad. You might have to fight Freddie for that money, but besides that, the whole draft, probably a C. Pretty good. Drew Holiday, Jay Crowder, Cam Whitmore, Precious Achua, Devin Carter, Marcus Smart, Brooke Lopez, and Jonathan Mogbo for Atlanta Hawks. No, sorry, Jay Crowder was actually a pick. I believe that turned out to be, yes, that was 1.16. I like that. I think this draft was good by him, so we'll give it a B minus maybe. I'm not sure I like that Devin Carter pick. For Sal, he ended up trading away most of his picks, but he did still draft Keon Ellis, Ben Serif, and Isaac Okoro and Brandon Williams. I kind of like the Ben Seraph move, but I don't know. I think he probably should have kept more of his picks to draft with. We'll give it a C. It's not terrible, but needed work. Let's see. We have Anthony Simons, Cameron Johnson, Tobias Harris, Jay Huff, Max Struess, Grant Williams, and Jonas Valanciunas for TBD Man. This was fantastic. The depth that he was able to find was very, very good. I'm going to give this an A. I really think that was really, really good for him. So Mikey traded away a bunch of his picks too, but he did still take on Russell Westbrook, Goga, and Terrence Mann. I like all of those. I think those were all pretty decent picks, although the unction is so real at this point. Russell Westbrook going into year like 17 or 18. Maybe not. This is probably a D. So Coop goes and drafts DeMar DeRozan, Aaron Wiggins from OKC, TJ McConnell, Luke Garza, and Jonathan Isaac. I think Jonathan Isaac in the 10th round was such a steal, and just for that I'm going to give him a B+. But it goes a little bit down because of DeMar. DeMar, I don't like it. I had to say it. I'm not a big fan of DeMar DeRozan, and I think he's going to regress even more, and I definitely would not have taken him over Aaron Naismith, who went right after him. So probably a D overall. Jesse picks Aaron Naismith, Obi Toppin, Lugan Stort, Justin Champagny, Duncan Robinson, Malik Beasley, and Chris Boucher. It's fine. I like the Aaron Naismith pick a lot, so probably a B. Although I really, really, really don't like the Malik Beasley look. I think that there were some better depth pieces that he should have explored, and I don't think that was one of them. So next we have Miller Cup, which ended up being 1.19, I believe. Yes, 1.19. Wow, good job, memory. He also picks up... he picked up quite a few picks. So he actually picked up 1.7... That was 1.17, 1.17, 1.19, and 1.22. So all of those are very good. Jock Landell and then Yuki Kawamura, who probably should not have fallen to round 10. This is a A+ draft. Really good look. So next we have Max Christie, Isaiah Stewart. That is 1.23. Bronny James, Chris Middleton, Cole Anthony, and Andre Drummond. Picking Max Christie over like Nikola Jovic or like a Grayson Allen, Jimmy Butler was still on the board. That was a mistake. Just was not good. This is an F just because of that. And then the Isaiah Stewart pick was good. He probably should have gone earlier. I don't like the Chris Middleton pick or the Cole Anthony pick. I think that those were mistakes. Next we have Drake Powell. Okay, Jameer Watkins, Taylor Hendricks, Jake LaRivia, Gary Trent, Buddy Hield, and Harrison Barnes. You're really going to pick Harrison Barnes? Not sure that would have been my pick, but all in all, it's probably like there's no depth here at all. Probably a D. This just wasn't good. And then these were my picks. I picked Yannick Conan Niederhauser, Leonard Miller, Rasheer Fleming, Adu Thiro, Luke Kennard, Noah Penda, and Bones Highland. Some depth, but I think most people would probably give it a C, so I will as well. Next we're going to do CB Steam, Walter, Clayton, Miles Turner, Jaden Ivey, Ying Hansen, Dalton Connect, Jordan Clarkson, Al Horford, and Gershon Yabusele. This is a D. You can't draft Miles Turner. You shouldn't, anyway. Jaden Ivey might never get another job in the NBA. Yang Hansen, he looked terrible as a rookie. I don't like him. Dalton Connect, that's your depth piece you want? I don't think so. I think that was bad. And then Al Horford, who is probably going to retire or should. I don't like that either. So this is a D. For Dan, we have Kama Maluak, Nikola Jovic, Nikola Topic, Jace Richardson, Caleb Love, Zaire Williams, really good steal, Jaden Hardy, and Lucas Williamson. Pretty much just for Zaire Williams, I think I'm going to give it like a C. There's nobody else really, well, I say that. I think I have to go back on that. We'll give it a C+. I think his draft isn't bad, but it's reliant on a lot of people becoming a lot better. So probably a C+. Next we have G.G. Jackson, Nolan Trayor, Moses Moody, Klay Thompson, DeJon Shalon, Trace Jackson Davis, and Quentin Post. I'm a huge Quentin Post fan. He fell all the way to round 10. He could definitely be like a steal of this draft. So good look. I like G.G. Jackson as well. I don't like getting older. Like with Klay and Moses Moody, I think those were maybe mistakes, but not enough to drag this down too much. It's solid B all around. Daryl Morrisell. Oh, yep, that's right. He got 1.18. So, good move. 1.18. CJ McCollum. I can't believe he fell like that. I think he's still a serviceable player, and I probably would have drafted him in round 4 if I'd known that he was available. DeAndre Hunter, good pick. Jabari Brown. I think that was also a pick. He picked 1.29 there. Clint Capella, Chris Murray, and Jose Alvarado. I kind of like this. It's not bad, so we'll give it a B minus. Could be better, but definitely good. John Collins, Jordan Goodwin, Rashawn Holmes, which ended up being 1.28. Trey Mann, Vince Williams, which ended up being... Oh, never mind, that was just Vince Williams. Oh, sorry. That is 1.24 and 1.28. And then Bruce Brown. It's okay. I'm not sure I would have taken the 2 picks at the very end of the draft, but it's not bad. We'll go a C minus. Next we have Dan. That last guy was Randy, by the way. Now we have Dan, who gave us Gui Santos. I really like that pick. I think he actually could be a breakout guy. Scottie Pippen, Moussa Cisse. Who does he play for? I've never seen him before. Oh, he's a rookie for Dallas. Huh, that makes sense. Shaquille Harrison, who ended up being 1.27. Royce O'Neal, Paul Reed, and Day'Ron Holmes. I like Paul Reed a lot. I think that he's a little bit underrated, so he kind of saves Dan's depth. So we'll go a B minus. So Jimmer gave us another masterclass and picked Wendell Carter, Asa Newell, Cody Williams, Julian Strother. I actually do like Strother. Liam McNeely, Tyus Jones, and Corey Kispert. This is an F. I don't want Corey Kispert on my team. I don't want Tyus Jones on my team. I sure as heck don't want Cody Williams on my team. The only redeeming quality is Asa Newell and Liam McNeely, but neither of those guys are going to get minutes for a while, so probably a C. Funk picks up Dante DiVincenzo, Norman Powell. Norman Powell goes all the way in round 5. That was a steal. Jeremy Grant falls as well. Terrence Shannon falls in the 7th round. Craig Porter, Derek Jones. I love Derek Jones. He did so well this year. And then Julian Phillips. This was an A for me. This was so good. Grabbing Norman Powell, grabbing Jeremy Grant, grabbing Terrence Shannon in the 7th round. Those were all great moves. I really love that A+. That was really good depth. For Sapai, we have Davion Mitchell, Yves Missy, Kyle Kuzma, Ryan Dunn, Kevin Herter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Wendell Moore. I just really love the Davion Mitchell pick. I don't think I can agree with anything else, so we're going to give it a D. AF Sonic, Grayson Allen, Danny Wolf, great pick at round 5. Chris Duarte, Jalen Sims, both of those were picks, I assume. Yes, picks 25 and 26. Jacoby Walter, Sion James, and Anthony Gill. Sion James was a lottery pick, keep in mind. I know he's not done much yet, but he was in fact a lottery pick, so maybe don't give him. Oh, sorry, he was a 2nd rounder. But he's not played too bad, so I wouldn't sell my stock in him just yet. And Anthony Gill. I like the Grayson Allen pick. I definitely like the Danny Wolf pick. I think that was a steal. I don't like the picks, though. I think you probably could have gotten a player there. Maybe I can't. Yeah, no, I will give you a B. I will give you a B. It wasn't that bad. Mariana Magic gives us Rui Hachimura, Kristaps Porzingis in round 5. Miles McBride, Ryan Nembhard. I love that pick. Rayan Rupert, Josh Green, Landry Shamet. I love that Ryan Nembhard pick. Just for that, you get an A+. I was going to take him in round 6, but decided on somebody else, so shame on me, I guess. But yeah, that was a really good pick. For Henry, we got Dylan Cardwell, Dennis Jenkins, Will Richard, love that pick. Adem Bona, love that pick. Baylor Sherman, love that pick. And Elijah Martin. It's an okay pick. Honestly, all in all, probably an A. This was a good draft. That was a great draft for him. So Freddie takes Malik Monk. Let me say that again. He took Malik Monk. Good choice. Sam Hauser, Alex Crusoe, Johnny Broom, Steven Adams, John Tonji. Cool. So this is an F. Even with Alex Crusoe on there, just an F. Ali takes Nikola Vucevic. Fine. Robert Williams, Draymond Green, Karis LeVert, Jordan Hawkins, Philip Wheeler. Okay. I'm assuming the... Did you not get a pick? Did you really just take Philip Wheeler for no reason? Why? I'm checking the cap sheet back and forth to make sure that I know who took picks instead of players, and he drafted Philip Wheeler, and unless that was like a 2nd round pick that he got, he just drafted a guy that doesn't play anywhere. Okay, I guess. Weird. I bet that was an auto-generated pick. Okay. Shoot. I missed a few picks. Forgive me. Mariana Magic also drafted Rui Hachimura. Good pick. Henry drafted Jimmy Butler in the 4th round, which was great. Paul George got drafted by Freddie, and assuming his contract gets restructured, I actually really like Paul George on the team right now, so really good pick for him. Ali drafted Cam Thomas. So G League behavior, probably. And then Daniel Gaffer got drafted by Vandery in the 4th round, as well as Colin Sexton, D'Angelo Russell, Bradley Beal, AJ Green, Lachlan Ulbrich, and Hunter Tyson. The only guy that I like here is Colin Sexton and maybe AJ Green. Everything else sucks besides Daniel Gafford. All in all, Vandery was such a bad drafter, so this has to be an F. Just all in all. Potatoes gave us Grady Dick. Tyrese Proctor, I think he's underrated, so I actually am a huge fan of that. Lonzo Ball, not a fan of that. Overrated. Bobby Portis, Oliver Maxence Prosper, Javon Small, and Derek Whitehead, which I think ended up being like 1.30. Who wants to think I'm right? I was not. He really just drafted Derek Whitehead. Weird. Okay, never mind. I think that drops your grade down from a B to a C just for Derek Whitehead. And then the guy who was the first overall pick, he gave us Jalen Williams, Ousmane Dieng. Great pick. I was upset that I missed out on him. Jamal Sheed, Sandra Mamu, Livish, Isaiah Joe. I loved that pick. Jackson Hayes. Loved that pick. And Johnny Juzang. I have to give Gervier an A for this depth. I think the depth was fantastic for him. I'm jealous. He has 4 of my picks. I'm pretty sure he copied my picks. I'm so upset about it. It was a really good pick. Yeah, all in all, if I was going to make a winner of the draft, it probably has to be Henry. I think Henry did so good drafting. Funk kind of messed up the first few, but kind of figured it out there at the end. Jimmer, if it wasn't for 1.05, should be kicked out of the league. Coop is going to be a really good team next year. Caden did a very good job drafting, especially for his timeline. Trying to think, see if anybody else did a really good job. I kind of like what T did. I don't like all the picks, but he didn't do bad. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. The draft looked really, really good. Some people did terrible. Some people did very well. And drop a comment. Leave a comment if you think somebody did better than I gave them credit for, or if you think a specific pick should have gone a lot sooner or a lot later. Let me know. Just talk to me. But yeah, not too bad. Let's go ahead and talk to Josh. I actually got to do an interview with him. We got to do a little bit of a Q&A back and forth, and I'm just going to kind of share the question with you and then his own response. Remember, Josh is the owner of the league, so you could definitely want to listen to what he has to say because it could very well influence the league for the future or the current. So let's go ahead and get into it. So these were the questions that I asked, and these are all what I thought were interesting, to say the least. I asked 4 questions. These are those questions. I asked, will the league ever become a money league, which means you would have to pay to participate in the league. It would also mean that you could sell your team or buy teams. That would be how you move in and out of the league. I asked, do you foresee actual parity becoming the norm? What I mean by that is, are different teams going to actually win the title every year, or do you think that a super team will actually exist? I asked, what is your pick for Breakout Star next season? I thought that was interesting. And then, will the G League ever become expanded to be more than one league? Because as our league grows and we get more influence and maybe we start talking to more people, and as well as, like, say the Poseidon show becomes very popular, the YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, all of those, say they become very popular, it's feasible at least, that we could gain a big audience and more people would want to join. And the only way to do that is to funnel them through the G League. So I thought that was also very interesting. And these are the responses he gave to the first question of if the league will ever be a money league. He says there's a potential talk of this. Now that we have done a redraft, it's given all 30 teams, all 30 owners, the perspective of, all right, am I competing or am I rebuilding? How can I achieve this? The big overarching thing is what he's saying is because we've done this redraft and increased the amount of fair play that is possible, it also means that there's a lot of teams that could be contending given the right trades and circumstances. So it's also very possible that people can rebuild and feel confident in what they've built, and that also incentivizes them to keep those teams, which means paying for them. So it's at least possible that a money league could be something that is initiated in the future, which I would actually be for. I think that would be very good for the overall health of the league. But again, who knows? Now, as far as breakout players go, he gave me two options. He said option one, I think, is Jared McCain. I think OKC made some big offseason moves and trade some of their rotation due to the second apron requirements coming in shortly. So he's just saying that in the future, the OKC roster is going to look vastly different because of the cap situation, which I agree with. And I think McCain nails down a starting role and becomes that second best scorer in OKC. I think maybe that's a little bit out there. Second best scorer would be maybe a stretch, but honestly, I could kind of see it with the way J-Dub has played and the way Chet has just disappeared recently as a scorer. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, if that ended up being the case. He said, I also think Derek Lively breaks out. We saw glimpses in his rookie year, but he has dealt with a lot of injury since. I think he has a healthy year and shows how dominant he can be with Cooper Flag. I actually think this one's a little bit more feasible. I think he's looked really, really good in those flashes that we saw. But honestly, if he can't stay healthy, he's just never going to get there. So here's to hoping. He ended up not answering my question about parity. I'm not 100% sure if that means that parity. I'm not sure what his answer to that question is going to be. My own personal belief is that we're going to see a super team no matter what. It's just hard not to see one. I think it might change every year, every other year, something like that. I don't know if there's going to be one team that dominates 100% of the time. I do think, however, that we are going to see a super team at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next, but I mean, Josh has a nasty good team, so who knows? My hope is that parity will become the norm, but it could kind of swing either way. And then the last question I asked was, will the G League ever become expanded to be more than one league? He said, depending on how much engagement we get, we might have multiple with a relegation system, but that is ages down the track, which I think is probably smart. It's always wise to plan for the future, but you don't want to enact things too early or too late because that ultimately could mess things up for you down the line. So honestly, I think that's a really good move. But yeah, it's really interesting that we've kind of already had those thoughts of, if the league expands or grows or is otherwise just in a different place, what could become the norm in the league, what could become something that is added. That's all very interesting, and it sounds like there's been quite a bit of work put into it. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work on the social media side, which is something that I work with, so I also see a lot of that. And with me recently being made a commissioner, I've also seen a lot of the commissioner chats. I've been able to see the conversations that have been had about the salary cap, and especially with that whole process of the redraft, I saw a lot of the work that was put in behind the scenes, and I honestly don't think it's appreciated enough how much work these guys do to make a quality league and talk about it and discuss and make sure that everybody's happy. So if you see this, go message in the group chat, thank you, commissioners, for your work, because they actually do so much work. They aren't paid for this. They just enjoy it. So thank them. Thank them in the general chat in the league. DM them. Say thank you. Just be nice to them, honestly, because they do so much work, and we would not have a league without them. So thank you, commissioners. And that actually does it for the show today. I was going to originally do a Slayer segment, but with the amount of content that we had with the draft and with league changes and with all of this stuff going on, I am actually moving soon, so I will no longer be in this location. I will be going and getting an apartment here shortly, which is why this episode is being cut a little bit short, because I have to go and take care of some things, and why I wasn't able to plan as much for this episode. I'm also just a little bit tired because I've been working all week, so unfortunately I'm also just a little bit out of it and unable to continue filming. But as far as everything else goes, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for just being a part of the league. I know most of our viewership is from the league. If you're not from the league but you want to join the league, go ahead and go check out the description on the YouTube channel. It should include a link to the sleeper to the sleeper league. You can also just directly message Josh Pet. He will be able to put you in either the G League or help you stay up to date with the various content we have. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to get updates. We post a lot of the trades and a lot of the draft and a lot of the stuff that goes along with that. And very shortly, we will be releasing a few different videos. I know I have at least 2 episodes of Hot Takes that have not come out yet, and I have at least 1 or 2 episodes of the team reviews. I have at least 2 more team reviews that still haven't come out yet. So we have a lot of content coming out. We put a lot of work into it, a lot of editing, a lot of behind the scenes research goes into those. So go like them, comment, reach out, tell me what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, give me some encouragement. I actually do put in quite a bit of work to make these entertaining, and I research them to make sure that everything that I'm saying is at least mostly accurate based off the facts of the matter. Sometimes the actual opinion you might disagree with, but the facts I do try to put in work to make sure that they are correct and accurate. It's the same reason why I went over the draft several times before I actually went over it with you guys. So if you guys are interested or want to see more content or want to be a part of that content creation, because I actually would love a producer at some point to help me plan the show and do a lot of the research that I need done. So if you would like to help with that, shoot me a DM. I am Poseidon in the All-Star Salary Cap League. Just shoot me a DM. Let me know that you are interested in that, and I will talk to you, and we will try to work that out. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys have a great day. Go make good trades. Go get better at drafting. God bless. Have a good day.